Welcome back. It's week 15. That's crazy. We're here with KW6S again.
Hi.
And
I'm not going to fall asleep this time, I promise.
it's a little earlier this time. We should be good.
Yeah.
And Zonies couldn't make it this week. But let's just get right into it. This past week's contest was called Lost Your Footing. And you were given a set of footers that were pre-placed down, and you had to build a ride on top of it that used only those footers. So it'll be interesting to see what all everybody has done with them.
Somebody did a boomerang.
Somebody did it. Not only a boomerang, but hold on. Okay, so this is Grandcrackers with Happy Farmer Redux. They said cooking, fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji, shower emoji, fire truck emoji, 100 emoji, and then a winky face. So this is just a boomerang. But
this is hilarious.
This is kind of funny actually. But in case it wasn't aware, or in case anybody didn't get the memo, the footers were from Taiga at Linden Maki. But yeah, this is a boomerang. This is a boomerang, alright. Not only is it a boomerang, but it's a Jolly Rancher.
Is the height of the footers the same as well as on Taiga?
Yeah, I did a Google Maps import and snapped to scenery. They're not like perfect or anything because I had to do some manual adjustment. But
no, yeah.
They are relatively the same, I believe. Yeah, because they go up over the years. So that's interesting. That actually is really interesting, and putting into scale how like big or small Taiga is actually.
Yeah, it's like remarkable how compact Taiga is when you look at it like as a whole ride, when you consider that they fit like 3,600 feet of track in there into like the same footprint as a premier water coaster. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. You know, especially just like having a boomerang on top of it like this really puts it into scale.
Yeah. But a boomerang takes up like half the plot.
Yeah.
And like technically even more than half, because like the real Taiga, you couldn't, like that whole section is like being taken up by like Pathway and other rides.
Yeah.
Or well, like sort of.
Although
like,
I can't help but feel like this boomerang's a little bit overscaled, but that's fine. That's really funny.
I think that would be like right next to the powered coaster and right next to like the Maki motion coaster.
I'm not even super familiar with their lineup. I just know they have a Kirnu.
The coaster that the stall goes over, that Taiga stall.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well this one is funny and obviously a meme. So thank you, Grandcrackers.
Thank you for a laugh.
Let's look at the next one here. Alright, this is aawarewolf with Zippin.
Zippin.
And we have...
You
know what, we're gonna ride it backwards. A Maur spinner. I feel like it's gonna spin, right? Yeah, it will. Whoa. Okay.
Very like snaky.
Very snaky. It's kind of fun with the little hills here, though.
Very funky.
Oh.
Make it.
Just barely. Was that the final brake run? No. Oh.
Oh.
Oh man, this is big.
It's a really neat way of using the like uphill section on Taiga.
Yeah, it's because I think that's like the station area in IRL. That is definitely interesting. That's a funky drop.
That's a cool first drop.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that a lot on a spitter, the outer banking,
that is
and then
really cool
the
actually.
steep drop.
On like an extreme spinner, that would go kind of crazy.
It's almost like that's what Ride to Happiness does, except just straight.
Yeah. But this part is like super snaky. It goes like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wobbles.
Gotta get it spinning.
I guess, yeah. And then uses all the footers. The roll is fun, of course.
Yeah.
A little bit light on the support, but that's okay.
I really like. I'm surprised they don't have the like the Mahr single spine option like what Naga Bay has.
Yeah, you would think. And I know you can just like overlay a Lahr track over it, but even that's not the same.
Yeah.
And the Maur track is so much smaller than like anything else that it's hard to.
It's like 800 gauge, I think. It's 700 or 800 gauge, I believe.
I feel like it might even be 700 just compared to everything else.
Yeah, it's tiny.
It's so small. But this is a very unique, interesting one. I like the concept.
Yeah.
And the first drop especially. But very cool. Let's see the next one here. Alright, this one is from Quotition. It's called Schlagenheim. Oh, I saw this one.
Interesting. Oh yeah, Lack. Is this meant to have the Vekoma multi-looper custom coaster style?
I have no idea. They didn't do any additional comments, but I feel like it would be.
I believe it is.
But it also doesn't go upside down, so I'm not sure.
Not me getting it wrong on like, I think one of the early, like the clockwise one, like I feel bad for Funky Penguin because I was like, oh, it's just like a new gen Intamin, and then everyone in the comments was like calling me out, like, what the hell, like. So I'm not making that mistake again.
Yeah, I have
Fun
no idea
little
what this one,
layout.
but I like this layout a lot. And it definitely looks Lek-esque, even if it's not
Yeah.
intentionally supposed to be. But the footer use on this one's really good.
Kind of reminds me of like a more intense Montana Rusa.
Yeah, actually, the one
Maybe
that's in
Dabo.
like that's in like Chile
The
or
one-
something.
The one that's in Barcelona.
Yeah, the red one, I think.
Yes. That one. Or I have to go check that real quick. I can't get that wrong.
You're live on air right now. You have to. The pressure is on.
Yeah, I gotta find this.
I thought it was in South America somewhere, but I totally could be wrong.
It's in Spain.
I was wrong.
Barcelona. I just checked. Yeah, I had to know. So we're good.
Yeah, I see what you mean though. But this layout's really nice. This stays like so close to the terrain the whole time.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. This one's really clean. Very nice. I don't know if it's Vekoma or custom, but whatever it is, it's very well done, I think. So, awesome. Let's see the next one here. Alright, this is by Vertical Thrills. It's called Abyss.
A beast.
It says
I wonder
B&M.
what right side is going to be.
He says is a B&M D6 with an incline loop. Let's go. We're winning.
Yeah.
So it features the patented Iron Menace features the patented Iron Menace jerk into the brake run. Wish I had a little more time to refine some of the smoothness, potential clearance issues, but I think it works because it emulates the shuffling and bouncing the new dives have.
Oh, not the shade.
But I like the fog.
Very atmospheric.
Starting off pretty typical here. Incline loop. Let's go. That's a rollover thing. This flows really nicely.
Yeah.
Oh, Batwing is interesting. Or pretzel loop, whichever B&M decides it is this week. And then into the brakes. That's a solid layout.
Yeah. Like short and
I
succinct,
don't
I
know.
think.
I don't know if the trains
like
could
reminds
take
me
a
of,
turn
like-
this tight, but
Reminds me of a dive multi-looper.
yeah, I don't think that would work, but that's
E.
fine. Yeah, it is kind of a dive multi-looper. I feel like the layout's a little bit long for a traditional dive, but it's not really supposed to be that anyways. And it definitely, like, works anyways.
I feel like it would have an MCBR.
Yeah, I feel like we'd either have an MTBR or it would end, like, instead of doing this last, like, shuffle down here, it would take this first half of the pretzel and then just go straight into the brakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just beeline it straight from here instead of going back.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that's a really solid layout. I'm kind of a fan of that. I like the like vibe of it at least, and had the density of the track in like this area especially is like pretty impressive.
Yeah. Very snaky.
And it looks very imposing from down here. This one's cool. I like this one.
Yeah.
Some solid, unique stuff this week so far. And the supports all look great, honestly. You'd like barely even know if it wasn't for all the extra ones. Except this one. I don't know what's up there.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's really cool. I like that. Let's see the next one here. This is Waldo Lahr with Call of the Mountain Eagle.
Let's go.
Waldo was the one that helped me initially with
Yeah.
the footers, so he knew that it was Taiga. Before it was like, you know, the contest went live, but he did not.
Yeah.
The version that he sent me didn't have any of the terrain, so he's still seeing it pretty fresh, anyways. He said, built on top of the previous plan's footers, Gersar Eurofighter only needed one additional footer to be poured for the lift. Makes sense, because the Eurofighter lifts are like a giant block
Slab.
of concrete, yeah.
Yeah.
Rest is all there and reused. Included as always a bonus coaster, which is almost, which almost as always breaks the rules. So we got the classic dive loop into loop sequence.
And just being a monster a lot.
Yeah, and a little bit of like Saw the Ride, maybe.
I could see that.
The other thing that it's like kind of reminding me of, which I don't know if it is that old NoLimits project, Scourge.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit, and there's definitely a little bit of like Defiance in here as well.
Yeah.
So that's a nice span.
Yeah. It's like a really cool. Like sitting through that low turn and then, you know, going up
Yeah,
and rolling.
and this is a big one. This is one that reminds you how big Gerslauers are too, because Gerslauer track is not small.
Yeah. 1.2 gauge. You know, and massive Eurofighter.
Yeah.
Kind of giving Cannibal.
With the flat roll a little bit.
Yeah, the flat roll, and then like just the way that there's like all these huge elements, you know, all in a row.
It feels a little bit like Daredevil Dive-esque, maybe.
Yeah, no, I could see that too.
What is this, a mini gravity group? With the terrain, that's funny. That's cute, I like the terrain interaction in that one, but it doesn't count, obviously, and breaks the rules. But very nice here. Uses all the footers properly. Awesome. And the lift supports on this look really nice too, actually.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people try and do Eurofighters and, you know, do the lift support, and the lift support's just kind of... They know it's a trust, but they don't know it's anything else. I'm also guilty of this. But these lift supports actually look pretty good and accurate to real ones. So props for that. Very nice. Alright, let's see the next one here. Alright, this is Maurits with Kholm. I think that's how it's pronounced, Kholm. And he says this is also available on... Oh, that's not what I wanted. Said this coaster is also available on NLC, depending on your preference. Ooh, a launch single rail.
Ooh la la. It's getting funky already.
It's a nice looking single rail, honestly, though. Using the... Oh, another launch.
Let's go.
Using the stunt pilot color scheme. Although, if anything, I think this demonstrates how small stunt pilot is.
Yeah. Fun.
Very nice. Very fun. I'm not sure how to, like, rate the launched aspect, because there just isn't one yet.
Yeah. I feel like it's meant to be more of a hot racer.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. I feel like the Raptors have like an extra level of intensity to them that this one might not quite have. That's a fun support. I like that one.
Clean.
But it looks like very well planned out.
Yeah.
Uses all of the footers. Having like the turnaround up there and down there. Not all the footers, but you know, the whole space at least. And it just looks good in general. Yeah, definitely think I get a little more Hot Racer vibes than
Yeah.
that also could just be the launch talking, but very cool. Yeah, this one's cool too. These have all been so well done so far. Let's see the next one here. Alright, this is Energy by Muffels. It says orange track is Ultra Energy and red is Super Energy. So we got a dueling coaster in here. Let's go orange first. Max height's 200 feet, max drop's 150 feet, and the lift is 100 feet from the station. And we got the other one right there, yeah. Interesting to do a dueling coaster on like this template, especially. Just because like the footers here are only from one ride. I wouldn't have expected to see two coasters shoved in here, even if they're Mobius. Let's see the other side here. This is reminding me of that one like default RCT2 coaster It was like the dark purple and yellow hypers that were dueling. I don't remember what it was called. Then into the breaks. Short and sweet. But using the footers here. A lot going on right there, but that's fine. Interesting using the one side to go back over up by the station and the other one to kind of go off and use the other side. Very nice. Interesting, different take on this for sure. But that's what we like to see. So, very nice. Let's see the next one here. This is LSM Trail with Talos. He says it's a custom two-seated single rail from Intamin. Track is custom designed. Let's launch right out the station just like cheat on it. That's a nice fun section. There's launch 2, I knew it. Top at and stall. Really channeling the Taiga. I like the idea of a larger scale hot racer though. Oh, what is that element? I like that. Looks like a little bit of hang time at the top. That's nice. Yeah, this is cool. Super unique look to it. And it flows like very well, especially this like first section. I kind of like that more than the second half. But very nice. Let's see the next one. Here we have MLDesigns with Feniks, spelled with a line over the E. It says, enjoy another spelling of the name Feniks. We have another D6, but a completely different take on it. Ooh, the leaning implement is pretty fun. Straight hill. Like a double up type thing. The loop around the brake run's pretty sick. And around the roll. And then into the brakes. And I know he went all out for these supports, so you're gonna have to take a closer look at all of them. Like, that is just goofy. That's a fun support. Oh. That's just lovely. That's hilarious. Everything else is pretty much normal. Enough, at least. That's interesting, though. Yeah, that's a nice, unique take on it. That's fun. I like that. And it's not a beyond vertical D6. I swear, every D6 that everyone builds is beyond vertical now. I mean, as they should be, because they're cooler, but interesting to see one that isn't. Very nice. With the original Taiga color scheme, of course. Very nice. Let's see the next one. Yeah, this is Cat of the Potatoes. We got KB6 back. Fell asleep.
Yep. My bad.
This is Gladiator by Cat of the Potatoes. Say Maurits supports go burr. Realistically, this would have a moving station, but NoLimits doesn't allow that without a significant amount of scripting. That's fair. Supports may be a bit off, but I've never actually seen an X car in person before, although I have ridden a Maur spinner. Working on getting Sasquatch turned into a template, so I should have that already soonish. Do let me know, because I think that's going to be soon. This definitely has the craziness of the Maur supports.
Yeah.
And into the brakes.
Yeah.
This is interesting. This like central bowl here gives me like a shock, Rainbow Magic Land vibe. And this helix is cool. I like the supports around it.
Yeah.
And of course, have to start it off with the JoJo roll with really interesting
Yeah.
supports.
Span.
Very nice. Alright, let's see the next one. Alright, last one. This is Mirror with Thanatos. Oh, it's a motorbike
Yeah.
with a fast dispatch. This is interesting.
Yeah. Funky top hat.
With a trim, never mind, it's bad. the signature Vekoma motorbike turnaround
190.
supports. Into the brakes. Very interesting layout. But the supports are nicely done, actually.
Yeah. They're like true to the Mara style.
For the Vekoma motorbike, yeah.
Sorry.
You are
Sorry.
so dead tired.
Yeah, man, dude, I've been going since 2 a.m. So.
That's crazy. Is that when your like shifts start?
No, my shift starts at 4.
Oh, that's still like so early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
I promised everybody I wasn't gonna fall asleep again. What happens? No, I am. I'll do better.
It happens. Especially if you're getting up at 2 in the morning. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But this is very cool. I like this like big truss support. Or the big arch. It's definitely like
that's cool.
overkill, but it looks really cool. And especially with this like little bit of like turning to it is kind of neat.
It's a cool sideways arch.
But yeah. So, very nice. Very cool. Yeah, this one's interesting. I feel like Vekoma's like the motorbikes aren't built that often anyways. So that's always cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways here, somehow I got to the end and realized that I just totally didn't open one of them. So this is TB with Vampyre. It's a, what is this, a Big Dipper? They say, embark on a spine-chilling journey through Italian villas' haunted corridors aboard Vampyre. I swear I opened this. I don't know how.
Ooh.
Ooh. Ooh!
Let's go.
The stall launch? Funky top hat turnaround. It's interesting. I don't think anybody took that roundabout in the other way.
Yeah.
A little close on the supports, but
That's
it's
an
fine.
interesting like ending.
It is, yeah. With the like weird outer bank
Yeah,
thing.
can I get yeeted out?
The idea of a launched Big Dipper is interesting too. But you know I'm a big fan of the stall launch.
Let's go. Yeah.
And this little wave turned nice. Through and then into the brakes.
Funky. Yeah. Cool little ride.
Yeah, with the little plaza in the rockwork area. Very nice. But yeah, it's interesting that everybody went, what is it, clockwise around that?
Yeah.
Nobody went counterclockwise, I don't think. At least none of the ones off the top of my head, but I also wasn't particularly paying attention to it at first.
Wait. Yeah. Or no, he went clockwise. Everyone else, I guess, went counterclockwise.
Well, no, everybody went the same way.
Yeah.
But yeah. Very cool. So all we gotta do now is to look at the results from the week before. So we have a clean sweep, it seems, from the previous week. Last week's was the Rings of Fire. Well, I guess it was 2 weeks ago when this comes out. But it was the Rings of Fire where there were a couple rings that had to go, the coaster had to pass through. In no particular order, but it just couldn't go through the same ring twice. So for overall best here, actually it looks like these are about the same for both. But for overall best, in third we had aawarewolf with Maxilla. In second was Carter with Raven. And then in first was Waldo Lars with Hydra. And then for the best use of templates, it was actually a 3-way tie. For second, oh, actually third place on the previous one had a Kurt's Relentless was also in third on the previous one. But here for second, we have a 3-way tie with Carter, again, Hazy's Olympia and aawarewolf's Maxilla again. And then in first place for the best use of template was also Waldo Lars Hydra, so clean sweep. Very nice to see. Definitely remember to vote for your favorite that you saw this week using the form at the top of the description below, as always. Congratulations again to those winners of the past week's contest. And as always, remember to vote for your favorite that you saw this week's using the form at the top of the description. Without further ado though, let's get into this week's contest. Now, first things first, this is going to be another 2-week contest just because I'm not going to be available next week. But I also saw a lot of people, a good number at least, who were saying they weren't able to participate with this new schedule because they were only free on weekends. So this one is going to be good for those guys, but we're also going to see what we can do about changing the schedule around a little bit. Maybe by delaying the results a week or delaying the video results a week, just so that there is actually one entire full week with every day of the week available. But we're gonna have to see how that works out. I'll have more updates on that in the next video. The only other schedule change to be aware of for this upcoming week is that because this is 2 weeks, and also because my schedule has changed a little bit, instead of having the deadline be at 6 p.m. on Friday, it's still going to be on Friday, but it's going to be at 12 p.m. on Friday at noon, just so that we can do the video a little bit earlier. And so KW6S isn't so tired when we're doing the recording. But that'll just give us a little bit more time for this week. You're of course going to have this entire additional week, so hopefully that isn't too big of an issue for anybody. But let's get into the core content of this week's. As many of you know who have been around in the theme park community for a while, the phrase "really more coming" has been around for a minute. It was first used by King's Dominion to start teasing Twisted Timber's announcement back in... Oh, they probably started doing that in like 2016 or something, a couple of years early. But if you guessed that that was going to be along the lines of what this week's core content is going to be about, then congratulations, you're correct. Now, some of you also may have noticed that we have one regular submitter who has been making a whole park full of coasters using pretty much only coasters that have been submitted for these contests, and just keeps adding onto the park with every contest week, which is so awesome. But there was 1 week of their contest that they submitted, which I think was the first week, but they had added an additional bonus wooden coaster into the template that didn't apply for any of the actual contest criteria. And that ride has stuck around in the park despite the fact that every other ride being added and updated around it has been for a contest template, this ride has remained as the only one that is not. So for this week, we're going to change that. This week's Really More Coming competition is basically going to be RMC That Guy's Wooden Coaster. And that guy, of course, is going to be Cat of the Potatoes. They've been submitting regularly with their park Potato World, which has been awesome to see grow and expand with all of the contest templates and their requirements. But their wooden coaster Sasquatch has been sitting in the center of the park, being built around, even though it hasn't been a part of any of the contest templates. So your prompt for this week is basically to RMC the Sasquatch wooden coaster. Now, if I open the template up here, we'll take a look at this. You're going to see it's quite the complicated template here because we're going to try and fit this into Potato World here and do it properly. So the first thing you're going to notice is this green boundary. This is going to be the outside boundary where your coaster cannot go outside of this at all in any way. That includes supports or, clearance envelopes, just to keep everything inside of this, which it's usually pretty far away from the structure, so you shouldn't really have any problem with that. The second one, though, that might be a little bit more trouble is the red boundary here, which indicates where paths and the station is. So I don't have an exact way to line up the station here, but you should be able to get it close enough. The station in his park is built out of scenery items, and I didn't want to include scenery in the template just so that it was easier to download and submit, but you will have to reuse this station for your entry. And then because these red markers are indicating paths, your coaster is not going to be able to pass through them at all. This includes track, this includes your clearance envelope, so the train can't pass through the zones either. And this also includes supports, because the peeps are going to be walking through this area, so we don't want them going through or running into support beams at all. Aside from that, though, we have two other coasters in the back, which you can hide the wireframe if you want to. They're really only there for show, just to show what's sitting just outside the template and to get some perspective for what's in the area. And then we have the actual coaster here itself in brown. And this also is a wireframe, so you can disable it if you want to for the final entry, or just turning it on and off while you're building yours if you don't particularly care too much about what the height profile is exactly at that point. Or if you're building a low to ground section in a place that was high and you're getting lost in the wireframe. I have also included a copy of that coaster with only the footers left, and that version is frozen on the bottom, so that even if you hide that version, you still have a pretty good idea of where the ride is supposed to go on the overhead, just to make it a little bit easier for being able to tell where everything is, because obviously there's no good way to do custom supports on this in a way that accurately reuses all of the supports. With that being said, you are going to have to bridge over the gaps for the paths, just because there can't be any supports in there, so you're going to have to do a little bit of support editing to get over those gaps. And that just about does it for the template. There's really not that much else to the template, but there is something else that I wanted to mention, because even though this is essentially RMC This Guy's Wooden Coaster contest, I am not going to be restricting this to only RMCs. If you wanted to, the idea here is not to turn this into a super intense RMC hybrid, and you can do that if you want to. I'm not going to have anything against that. But the idea here is more just to update the ride with something new. Because it's, the old wooden coaster in the park and nobody likes it, and you need something new and fresh. So with that being said, I'm not just RMCs are okay, of course, but I'm also going to allow pretty much any other kind of conversion that you can think of. As long as it's not basically just a retrack, like you're not just taking the, replacing the sections with Titan track and it's just going to be a smoother version of what it's already there. Pretty much anything is on the table, and I'm going to include things like Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farms in this, where even though the layout is largely the same, it's gotten some significant profile enhancements that make the ride experience dramatically different than they were before. This also is going to include, a tamer RMC retrack version, just as long as it has different profiling and features. This would also include whatever Gravity Group's version of this would be, maybe like what they did to Hades 360, although I'm not super familiar with the original Hades. But this could also include things that maybe haven't been done yet, like converting this into a full-scale Infinity Flyer concept that has inversions and steel sections and isn't just a retrack over like Ghost Rider or like the second half of Legend at Holiday World. The idea here pretty much is that as long as it's different from what's there right now, pretty much anything goes. In fact, you can even add sections to the ride or change the layout or deviate from the original path pretty much as you want. So if you want to utilize that extra area that you have inside of the green section of the template with, say a steel section on a Titan coaster, you could totally do that. If you want to add a helix on later in the ride at the end of a GCI transition, you could totally do that. This is pretty much free reign as long as it's different from the original. Now, because this is also a conversion template and it's supposed to go into a already existing park, I am going to disallow terrain editing. So no terrain editing is allowed except for trenches. Trenches are minimally invasive at the end of the day. So I will still allow trenches if you wanted to tunnel, like say under the pathway or do a little dip to manage your clearance or have a deeper trench for the pre-lift or something. That's totally okay. It's just that high invasive terrain editing, like adding hills and things, that really isn't feasible in a park setting like this. But as far as the core of this contest goes, I think that's really about it. You've got a lot of free reign here. I'm really interested to see what all is going to come out of this, who's going to go for which different concepts. Of course, as mentioned before, you have 2 weeks to finish this, so the deadline is not this upcoming Friday. It's going to be the Friday after that at noon instead of 6 p.m. And then, as always, you can download this template in the description below, as well as submit your entry. And then once again, of course, you can vote for your favorite one that you saw this week using the form at the top of the description. But I think that's just about it. I will see you all next week.